This is TLC to go.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into something really vital for us as health sciences faculty. Universal Design for Learning, UDL.
Right. It's essentially an evidence-based way to think about teaching, designing things up front so learning is more accessible for all our students, less about barriers, more about opportunity.
Exactly. And we've been digging into materials from the UTHSC Teaching and Learning Center on this.
Yep.
So the idea today is to unpack the three core UDL principles.
And offer some practical teaching tips, things you could potentially use, right away in your courses here.
Because let's face it, we're teaching a really diverse group of students heading into healthcare. Different backgrounds, different ways they learn best.
And UDL gives us a framework, a kind of roadmap, to intentionally design our teaching so more students become what UDL calls expert learners.
Expert learners. What does that really mean in this context?
It means students who are motivated, purposeful, goal-driven, and importantly, resourceful when they hit challenges. Which sounds a lot like what we want in future health professionals, doesn't it?
Absolutely, that really hits home. Motivated, resourceful. Yes.
And the UTHSC resources emphasize this isn't just classroom theory. It has real legs, even in, say, complex clinical settings. It's about being uniquely supportive.
Okay, so let's dive into that first principle then. Engagement. What's the core idea there?
Engagement, yeah. Fundamentally, it's about connection. Recognizing student needs, showing them why the material matters to them, and just creating welcoming space, whether that's in person or online.
Making it relevant.
Exactly. And a really concrete tip from the UTHSC materials is be super clear about learning goals.
Not just listing them on the syllabus.
Right. More than that. Talk about them. Explicitly connect, say, mastering a procedure or understanding a concept to their future roles, to their aspirations as clinicians, researchers, whatever their path.
I see. So if a student gets why, understanding the renal system inside and out is critical for patient care.
They're much more likely to be intrinsically motivated, right?
Right.
Driven from within, not just for the grade.
And with how demanding these programs are, that internal drive is just crucial. You can't just rely on deadlines.
You really can't. And interestingly, UDL's reach is broad. There was actually a practice brief back in 2015. I think it was Heelan, Halligan, and Quirk. They looked specifically at UDL in clinical placements for health science courses and found that this proactive, supportive approach, it benefits everyone everywhere.
That makes sense. Okay. So that's engagement. What's the second principle? Representation.
Representation, yes.
Yeah.
This one's all about how we present the information. The key is offering it in multiple ways, multiple modes.
And making sure it's accessible.
That's the core of it. So the teaching tip here is pretty direct. Offer multiple ways to get the course content across.
Okay, like what? Give me an example for, say, a dense journal article.
Well, could you provide a text audio option or maybe point them towards an audiobook version if one exists? Some students absorb information much better that way.
Yeah, or someone juggling clinical hours might appreciate listening during a commute. Or students with visual processing differences.
Precisely. And think about the text itself. Can you use formats where students can adjust font size? Or maybe change the background color?
Oh, right. Things we might not even think about. But that can make a huge difference for accessibility, visual needs, even just reducing cognitive load.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging that our students learn differently. We have visual learners, auditory learners, kinesthetic learners. Representation caters to that diversity.
Meeting them where they are, basically.
Yeah.
Instead of a one-size-fits-all delivery. Okay, makes sense. So engagement, representation. What's number 3?
The third one is action and expression. This focuses on how students actually demonstrate what they've learned.
How they show their understanding.
Yes. UDL pushes for giving learners autonomy here, choices in how they express knowledge and support for using tools or tech that might help them, assistive technology, resources, that kind of thing.
Okay, and the teaching tip associated with this one?
A really good one is to create opportunities for guided goal setting and self-monitoring.
How would that look in practice? Say, for a big project like designing a community health intervention.
Well, instead of just one big deadline, you could build in stages. Have students set mini goals for each stage. The research phase, the plan draft, the feedback incorporation.
Right, with maybe checkpoints for them to reflect on their progress.
Exactly. It fosters that sense of ownership. They're monitoring themselves, developing self-regulation skills, which is, again, so critical for healthcare professionals who manage complex tasks and patient progress constantly.
You're building those professional habits right into the learning process. I like that.
And think about labs, too. Sometimes high-stress environments, right?
Definitely.
There was a 2016 article, Miller and Lang, I believe, in a chemistry education journal. They found UDL principles, especially things like clear communication, flexible options, supportive feedback. It actually helped reduce student stress in the lab setting.
Interesting. Giving them some agency helps manage the pressure.
It seems so. A bit of control over how they approach things or show their work can make a big difference.
Okay, so we've walked through the 3 principles: engagement, representation, action, and expression. If faculty are thinking about starting to use UDL, what are some bigger picture things to keep in mind?
Well, the UTHSC materials use a really nice analogy. Think about designing your course like architects designing an accessible building.
So you plan for accessibility from the very beginning, not just adding a ramp later as an afterthought.
Precisely. It's about proactive, inclusive design right from the blueprint stage of your course, planning with all potential learners in mind from day one.
That's a powerful shift in thinking. Less reactive, more intentional.
Definitely. And the good news is you're not alone in this. There are fantastic free resources out there.
Like what?
The UTHSC info points to the UDL Guidelines 3.0 from CAS. That's sort of the gold standard, really comprehensive.
Okay, CAS UDL Guidelines 3.0. Good resource.
Yep. And they also mention a resource from Ohio State's Teaching Center called Universal Design for Learning, planning with all students in mind. Another great starting point.
And I think I saw something about a graphic. Visual aids can be helpful too.
Absolutely. Visualizing the framework can really help it click. And if you want more background, there are academic articles too. Basham and colleagues wrote about UDL and educational redesign in 2020.
Go.
And for a really deep dive, there's a 2022 guide by TechX and others on applying UDL. Lots of support available.
So pulling it all together, it sounds like UDL offers us, as health science educators, a really practical, research-backed way to build more inclusive courses.
And ultimately, more effective ones. Ones that help develop those expert learners we talked about, the competent, adaptable professionals we need.
Yeah, it's about lowering unintentional hurdles by thinking about engagement, how we present info, and how students can show what they know.
Exactly. Reducing barriers, maximizing potential.
So for anyone listening who wants to learn more or get support applying this in their own health sciences courses, the UTHSC Teaching and Learning Center is the place to go.
That's right.
They're there to help faculty work through these ideas.
Definitely reach out. And maybe as a final thought to ponder after this discussion,
Yeah?
just think about your own students, their diverse needs, how they learn best. What's maybe one small adjustment, just one thing you could try in your teaching based on these UDL principles?
That's a great question to leave folks with. One small step. Because it's all about that continuous learning, isn't it? Refining how we teach to best support our future colleagues in healthcare.
Couldn't agree more.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive today.